Today I'm going to be making this, and basically, first of all, we had trick or treat last night. We broke a record on my street. We had 5 kids. We live at the very front, and it's a short street. And there were only 2 of us handing out candy, so I don't know if that's why more kids didn't come. Most of the kids in our neighborhood are very young, very little, like 6 and under. But anyways, it was nice. I sat out on the porch with my next door neighbors, and we had a drink and talked and caught up, and we each had our tables with the candy for the kids to pick up. So it was pretty fun. But needless to say, I planned for way more kids than 5. So I have all kinds of candy left over. We might get some tomorrow just because we're right on the edge of Westerville and New Albany changed their trick-or-treat to Saturday. And there's a big apartment complex next door. So we might get some kids. So I've got that for them. But anyways, lots of candy left over. I don't trust myself with this in the house. Sweets are my weakness. So I thought, okay, I got to quick do something with all this. So I decided I would make up some treat things for Thanksgiving. It's just a small group. We don't have huge family gatherings, but a small group of us. But I thought, well, what could I do that could incorporate a treat, but also be like a table, like a place marker? So this is what I came up with. So I'm using the tins that are in the catalog. They're in the holiday catalog, and honestly, I forgot what page they're on, so I'll just take a quick look at the index in the back. They're on page 55, but you get 4 of them for $12. So I thought, well, you know, make up something fun and cute. So it has Andrea's name. I'll do one for everybody. I stamped a message inside and put some DSP on the bottom with some treats, and I thought, well, that would be fun. And of course, you could put anything you want in it. At times in the past, I've made something like this, and I put little notes in and sent them to my girls. I think I did it for Valentine's Day, and just wrote them, it had little cards inside, maybe 5, and I wrote a reason why I love them. So this might be something you can do with that too. Write why you're thankful for that person. So anyways, let me show you how to make this. I've got all the measurements. They do vary a little bit because what's on the top is different size than the inside top and the inside bottom, but I've got that all worked out for you. I'm featuring the Gilded Autumn Suite. So that's pages 44, 45, and 46 of your catalog. And I'll be using most of the items in this suite, which is a lot of fun. So to start, the Gilded Autumn Designer Series paper has several, well, each of the sheets, one side of each of the sheets is a metallic, either the copper or the gold, and you can even use a bronze. But today I'm using gold for this one. My sample was done with the copper because that's what matches the metallic on this print. And the gold matches the metallic on the pumpkin and gourd Designer Series paper. So I'm starting with the bottom layer for the top, which is 2.5 inches by 4 inches. 2.5 by 4, and I'm using this triple punch. One thing when you're using this, there is a little learning curve. Just make sure you press down in the center. And the reason I say that, and I don't know why I didn't think of this, but if you flip it over, all the images are being cut in the center. So that's where you want to push. When I started, I always felt like I needed to push on that corner where it was. Well, you don't get a good image, and in fact, you're pressing down that plastic onto your paper, which makes a mark. So when you use this, be sure and just press right in the center. Whoops, obviously didn't have that lined up too well there. There we go. And each side has these little notches, and you just match up the sides, two sides of your paper along those notches. You can see this one I was off a little bit. So I'm just going to repunch that, and it works out perfectly. Okay, then I'm going to round the corners of my DSP, and this is 2 1/4 inches by 3 3/4. And when I put this video replay on my blog in the next few days, I will definitely have all of the cutting dimensions typed out for you. But of course, you can always go back and review the video. Now I'm going to adhere the DSP to my gold foil paper. Just like that. Okay. The next thing I'm going to do is cut the letters out. Now, you may or may not have heard me already talk about the new adhesive we have. It's the foam adhesive sheets. You can use these with anything. Any stamped image, letters, numbers, whatever you have. But I love using these with the playful alphabet dies. There's some right there. Playful alphabet dies. I'm just going to get off what I need for the next name here. I need a J. And I'm going to show you how easy these cut out. I was a little skeptical using the adhesive foam sheets because I just wasn't sure how well all that would go through the Stampin' Cut and Emboss machine. And I have to say I'm pleasantly surprised and delighted how well they cut. Now what I do is, and you can see I've already used the rest of a sheet, but I left this on here to show you what I do. What I typically do for these letters in particular, for these letters, I cut a strip that's 1 inch high, 1 inch high. The letters aren't quite that, they're 3 1/4, but I want some extra space around. And then what I do is I pull back one of the adhesive backings. You're going to have that adhesive on both sides. And then I press my sheet down. Now what I do is I just fold back the extra adhesive. The reason for that is, or you could just cut it, but I don't want to expose all that sticky part. Okay, now this doesn't want to stay on because I have such little left. But I don't want to expose that sticky part and have it getting all over my cutting plates. So then I just grab my Stampin' Cut and Emboss machine, push that computer back so I get this in the screen a little better. I want my J here. So because I'm die cutting, I'm using platforms 1 and 2 and then 3. I'm actually using an old set of cutting plates, but they're just like the new ones, only they don't have the number 3 stamped on. So now I'm going to put this down. I like to have it going in a vertical position rather than horizontal. It seems to just go through a little more smoothly because it's not so cutting so many things at once. If you put it through this way, it's trying to cut everything at once and there's a little bit more chance of things moving around. So that's why I do it this way. And you can see these letters just fit on there nicely. In fact, I grabbed a scrap and it's barely 1 inch. So I might just turn my J a little bit. J-O-N. Yes, he's a John without an H. He's a Jonathan. And then I'm just going to run this through all together. You don't have to go back and forth. One cut does it all. And look how cleanly these cut. I love our new, what do I want to say, manufacturer for our dies, because I really do believe the dies are that much better. Things are coming off so much better. I'm just going to cut it like this because then I'll probably be using, I'll use that gold, extra gold a little bit later. Now you're going to get these things from the inside. I save them. Look at this. I save all those. Of course, if I cut out an extra letter or something, I put that in here, but I save them. The reason I save them is they're kind of like dimensionals. You don't have to waste them. You'll peel off the back and stick that down, and then you will have to put, you know, a glue dot or some multi-purpose glue there to hold the other layer, but they work great as little dimensionals. So, whoops, my J got stuck there. So just a little tip. I try, if I can use something, I use it. I don't like to waste. And then you're just going to punch out each of the letters. That adhesive backing is still on the back side. Throw that bit away. And now I'm ready to put it on here. And of course you could do whatever colors you want. Now with the measurements I gave you, if you do 3/4 inch from the bottom of the DSP, 3/4 inch from the bottom of the DSP to the top of your ruler, the edge of your ruler, that will help you have those letters right in the center. And if you don't have these letters, you know, just do your measurements and you can estimate. And I like to start in the middle. And what I typically do is, instead of pressing it down hard, I just press down at the bottom, because if I need to move something a little bit after I place them, that makes it really easy. So here too, I'm just placing down the very bottom. My O wants to turn a little bit, so let me pick it up. Easy to do because I just touched it down on the bottom there. And then I'll do the same thing with the J. That's not a J, is it? I'm looking at that and thinking, that doesn't look right. Let me see where my letters are. Maybe it is the J. It just seems awfully tall, doesn't it? Does anybody else see a J on here that I'm missing? They're on here backwards, of course. Okay, I guess it is the J. Hadn't used that one. This looks so much tall. It is so much taller than the others. So I guess I could either have it sticking up off the top or put it down lower, or I could just trim it. And I think I'm just going to have it sticking up taller. It still doesn't look right to me. Are we sure there's not a J? Deb, you think I have the right one, huh? Okay, what would you do? Have it sticking up higher? Or would you trim it? Or just leave it alone? Deb, you've got all those daughters with the J names. What would you do? And once you have everything placed exactly where you want it, I'm going to scoot this guy over just a bit. But you can, you know, use that ruler as a guide. And then just press your letters down. Let's see how it looks this way. Yeah, I don't know. What do you guys think? That is kind of a funky J to me. But it is what it is, right? I'm overthinking it, I think. Okay, I'm going to leave it be. Then I'm going to add a belly band here. Now on my first one, I used mint macaron. I don't want to use that color on here. I'm going to use Cajun Craze. And for this, the easiest thing to do is just take a piece of your, you like it better all lined up at the bottom? Okay. Now I got it too far away. Okay, we're going with that. He probably won't even notice, will he? And I'm fussing over it. All right, so take a piece of 8.5 by 11 cardstock, and you're just going to cut a 2-inch strip. So then for your belly band, and you're going to set your tin on top of it, and make sure the top is the top, because we're going to pull the ends up and overlap them on top. And the reason for that is, and you may know this already, those of you who have watched me for a long time, if you adhere, and I'm not going to adhere it to the tin because I want it to be able to slide off, I'm just going to adhere the ends to each other. And that way, when I put the top on, my seam will be hidden. And you don't need a lot of glue, but one on that edge, one line on that edge, and then a little bit on the top. Again, you do not want the glue to get onto the tin. You want to make sure it stays on the cardstock. Just hold it for a few seconds. And then you want to put this on top. Again, you're only putting your adhesive on the cardstock. And you're just going to hold this for a few seconds. Sometimes it takes a little bit longer for the adhesive to dry when you're using the metallics. And that's for both sides of the metallic, because they do have a different finish, obviously, than the cardstock does. So sometimes it does take a little bit longer. Not real long, but you just want to be sure it's adhering well. Okay, so this is what I have so far. You can see it slides easily. We call that a belly band. Hi, Claudia. Thanks for jumping on. Okay, now for my first tin that I made, I was using the copper and mint macaron designer series paper. So I used the copper foil as well. And then I chose this basket weave ribbon, and this combo of ribbons is part of that Gilded Autumn suite. So you get both of these in this pack, both of these ribbons for $8. So it's a great value, and you can see it's got this pretty copper and the beautiful basket weave mint macaron. Now, to me, neither one of these looks exceptional with this one. Either one is fine. But I decided that with this paper, there are a few other choices I have. Here's another mint macaron gingham, and that would be nice on some of the prints in this paper. But I've chosen to use this very vanilla real soft cotton weave, and this is from the ribbon combo in the Forever Greenery suite. But I think it works nicely with the gold and the Cajun Craze, so this is what I'm going to use. So just make your bow whatever size you like it to be. When I first started paper crafting and having classes and things, people didn't want me to put a bow on a masculine card, and I always thought, that's kind of, I mean, a bow's not female or masculine. And my thought is it really has to do with, first of all, your design, and second, what type of ribbon it is. I mean, if it's fuchsia, or what's that new color we have, Magenta Madness, and you're making something for a manly man, no, that might not be appropriate. But something like this, or many of our other ribbons, but yeah, it's not so much the bow that's masculine or feminine. I would say it's the ribbon you're using. I just remember I always thought that was such a foreign thought to me. But then, of course, if you're like me, you just do your thing, right? Okay, before I adhere that with a glue dot, I'm thinking I want to add one of these fun acorn trinkets. Okay, they're really super cute. Now, obviously, because of their size and thickness and weight, this is not something you would put on a card unless you were willing to send that card in a padded envelope. But for something like this, I think it's perfect. And I'm going to give you a tip. I did tie that acorn around my finished bow for the first tin I made. And this is what I did. I took some of that matching ribbon and I just cut up the center. And then you get all these little fibers. And I just grouped a bunch together, stuck it through there, and then used that to tie around the bow because then it matched. So we're going to try the same thing with this ribbon and see how this turns out. And if it does, great. If it doesn't, no big deal. I will just tie it with some linen thread we have. Oops, I need to make a cut, don't I? And this one is I would say more tightly woven. It may not work. Sometimes you can just pull a few threads, but this is pretty tight. Oh look, I got a few. One. So this pulls differently than the other one. So do you see that? They're real fine. And because they're fine, I want to use a few of them, not just one or two. But I think that's pretty good. There's 4. You see that? How I just pulled out of, just grab a strand and pull it. Alrighty. Because I like things to match. And then I'm just going to stick the ends through here. And then I'm going to tie my acorn around. Now, the other one, I tied it right up to the bottom of the bow. If you want it to dangle a little bit, you certainly can. Just tie a knot and let it dangle like that. For this project, I like to have mine close to the bow, but that's completely up to you. Next week on my blog, I'll show another tin for Christmas. And it looks totally different. Different design and everything. Using some awesome ribbon. But on that one, you'll see I tied some of the little jingle bells. And I left them loose enough that they will move around and jingle while they dangle, so to speak. And I'm going to add this right up here. just like that. Oh, I think this end needs to be trimmed a wee bit. Okay, I'm still not satisfied with that. I can't get the right angle. There. All right, so what do you think? Looks awesome, right? Okay, so now you can leave it just like that. You can fill it with treats, notes, whatever you want. But I think we ought to dress it up a bit. So I'm going to slide the belly band off. Now, if you're doing, remember I talked to you about the notes and things. If you want to cut some cardstock and round the corners to write different notes on, you know, I'm thankful for you because, I'm grateful for you because, that sort of thing. I cut these the same size as my DSP. So that's 2 1/4 by 3 1/4 inches if I were doing that, but I'm not for this one. So for this, it's a little tricky because this and this are 2 different sizes, okay? And the inside top of the tin is different than the outside top of the tin. So here I've got those measurements for you. So the inside top, I've cut to 3 7/8 by 2 1/2 inches. And I'm going to round the corners. You might find wonderful sentiments you want to use in lots of our other stamp sets as well. And I'm looking for my Stampin' Pierce mat. Beautiful Autumn is a photopolymer set, meaning you can see through the stamps. It's a photopolymer set. So I want to stamp on top of my Stampin' Pierce mat to get a really nice image. I'm using My Heart is Grateful for You. And you can stamp it anywhere you like on this. I'm going to stamp mine in the center. But, oops, not quite straight, is it? Let me try again. Best thing about our paper is 2 sides, right? Or all papers. All cardstocks. There, I like that better. Now, I've got a few things cut out over here. I'm going to decorate this even more. And the way I'm going to do that is pull in the punches that coordinate with the Beautiful Autumn stamp set. So you can stamp the 2 different leaves and the acorn pieces and punch with this punch trio. And you can buy all this as a bundle. So that's a great value because then you save 10% on the stamp set and 10% on the punches as well. Or you can do this. This is the back side of one of our DSPs, and you can punch an acorn. You can punch a maple leaf. And you can punch an oak leaf. Let me see if you might have to, of course you will have to. Here's one I can cut right here. But you might have to cut on some of these. Just don't cut through the leaves that you can punch out. All right. And I want a maple leaf in the mint macaron color. So I'm just going to cut that one out. And if it's a little piece and you need help holding it, just add a little Post-it note. You guys know that trick, I think, right? I just might have to do that because this is holding well for me. See what I mean by that? Just pick up that little piece with a Post-it note. And then you slide it in there. And punch. All right, so now I'm ready to decorate this a little bit. And for these little pieces, I'm going to suggest that you use either mini glue dots on the roll or the mini Stampin' Dimensionals. And I kind of like to use a combination of both. And turn your leaves and acorns any which way you want. Kind of makes them look like they're truly falling. Oops. My hand reached and grabbed the wrong thing. So not only will these look pretty decorating your Thanksgiving table, but they also will have a fun surprise inside for your guests. I think I'll add one more. Put as many on as you like in whatever combination you like. All right, and now I'm ready to adhere this to the inside top of my tin, just like that. Now for the bottom, and again, you can put treats, you can put notes, do whatever you want. For the bottom, I cut this piece of designer series paper 3 3/4 inches by 2 3/8. Again, I'm going to round the corners. This punch, this trio punch, is in the annual catalog. But it really is handy. I should show you what it does. Let me grab a piece of cardstock. So this side punches out that design. So like you could put it like that. Okay, just a pretty decorative corner design. And then this other one punches out this little loop. So you might use this like with a tag or something, and you just tie a ribbon or linen thread or something on like that. So that's what the other two corner punches are for. And I'm just going to adhere this to the bottom of my tin. You know, one thing I didn't check, I'll have to check it out and let you know on the blog post. I'm not sure if this will hold a gift card or not. It looks like it would, but I will check that out and be sure to include that on my blog post when I do it, okay? And then I'll take some of that leftover candy I had and toss them in here. You can be all the same. It can be mix and match. I'll put one of these in there. My family's crazy over Reese's cups. So I have that all finished. And then I can slide the belly band right back on. So it makes a really cute table favor and placeholder. Is that what you call them? Place cards. And then they also have some fun surprises inside when you open them up. Now here's another one I started, and I haven't decided how I'm decorating the top. If I'll do something similar or different, but I think these are basically going to be the 3 designs that I'll use for my Thanksgiving table. And again, we have a small family. I have a small family, so a small gathering, but it's still fun to do things like this. No, Pam, I have not tried Fast Break. I'll have to try that sometime. Susan, I'm glad you're here. Late or not, I'm glad you're here, and thanks for sharing. Of course, you know that you can always go back to the beginning and watch as well. But as I was saying, here's another design I started with. I probably am going to use that fun copper ribbon on here. Do something fun with that. And again, if you would rather, instead of putting treats inside, if you would rather perhaps write some notes in there to your family, your grandchildren, your friends. This might even be something fun to leave or send to a coworker, whether you're working in person with them or perhaps working from home and you need to mail it. But a fun little gift could be a little surprise for your college students, your grandchildren, perhaps a neighbor. Just something fun to let people know you're thinking of them. So whatever you put inside, however you decorate it, I know it will be an awesome, awesome surprise for your family and friends. Okay, thanks to all of you who are here watching live. I appreciate you. I hope that you have found this to be fun and inspirational. I would love to see what you make. And of course, you can purchase all of these products on my website, www.maryknabe.stampinup.net, or simply go to my blog, stampinpeace.com, and click Shop Now. So thanks very much for being with me. Thank you for sharing. Have an awesome weekend. I will not be on Facebook Live next week at any of my regular times because I will be in Florida staying with my upline. And on Thursday, Friday, Saturday, we'll be enjoying the onstage, what's it called? Onstage at Home Stampin' Up event. And I have another one of my Mary Stamper team members who also lives in a different part of Florida, but she's going to drive over and meet us at Susie's to do the same with us. So I will not be doing my regular Facebook Lives, but perhaps Susie and I, or Susie, Jenny and I, will pop on at some point during the week. But I am working on all kinds of blog posts for you to have something to be inspired by next week while I'm gone. So be sure and look for that. I will try to share the blog posts to the Facebook groups. So if you're not subscribing to stampinpeace.com, you'll still get to see them. But of course, the easiest way to see all of my projects, promotions, and creative inspiration is to subscribe to stampinpeace.com. All right, have a good weekend. Happy Halloween.